You know that smell, right? The one that just kind of creeps in under your door or through a crack in the window, the smoke next door. For so many of us, it's a constant, and let's be honest, an unwelcome guest. But what starts out as just an annoyance is actually a really complex battle over our health, our privacy, and the very air we breathe inside our own homes. So today, we're going to break down this all too common conflict. I mean, we've all been there. It's that faint but totally unmistakable scent wafting through a window, maybe a vent, or even coming up through the floorboards. It's an experience so common, it actually has a scientific name. Yeah, it's called tobacco smoke incursion, or TSI for short. And giving it that name is so important. It completely reframes the issue. It stops being just a simple annoyance and becomes what it really is, an invasion of your private space by a known health hazard. So let's talk about this uninvited guest. This is one that doesn't just overstay its welcome, it brings some incredibly dangerous baggage with it. It literally turns the comfort of your home into a potential health risk. And this is the part where we need to be crystal clear. The heart of this issue isn't about politeness or someone's personal habits. No, it's about a scientifically proven health hazard that is physically crossing the boundary from one person's home and entering into another's. So to really understand what's at stake here, we have to move past our feelings about it and look at the cold, hard science. And for that, we're going to turn to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, which has been, completely unequivocal on this for decades. And their number one finding is totally unambiguous. There is no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke. I'll say that again. None. Even just a brief exposure can cause immediate harm to your body. And the cumulative cost of this exposure, it's just staggering. According to the CDC, since 1964, 2.5 million non-smokers have died from health problems caused directly by secondhand smoke. And this isn't some historical problem. It continues every single year. Annually, secondhand smoke is responsible for nearly 34,000 premature deaths from heart disease among non-smokers. And that's just in the United States. And on top of that, it causes more than 7,300 deaths from lung cancer each year among U.S. non-smokers. These aren't just numbers on a screen, they represent actual lives cut short. But the danger becomes even more acute when we talk about the most vulnerable among us. For children, secondhand smoke isn't just a nuisance, it is a direct threat. It seriously increases the risk of SIDS, it triggers severe asthma attacks, and it leads to way more frequent respiratory and ear infections. Their developing bodies just can't fight it off. So, if the science is so clear and the risks are so severe, why is it so incredibly difficult to actually address this when it happens next door? Well, this brings us to what we could call the neighbor's dilemma. A 2023 study out of Israel highlights this dilemma perfectly. It found this huge gap between people being affected and people feeling like they could actually do something about it. So while over 77% of people who had smoke drift into their home were disturbed by it, fewer than a quarter of them, less than 25%, actually said anything to their neighbor or their landlord. And the reasons for not speaking up are pretty complex. You see, nearly 40% felt like, hey, it's not my right to tell my neighbor what to do in their own home. Others just felt like it would be pointless, that it wouldn't help. And some were simply afraid of starting a fight. It's this mix of respecting privacy, feeling powerless, and just plain fear. So where did this sense of powerlessness come from? Well, it was carefully cultivated over a long time. When a tobacco executive was once asked what infants who are exposed to secondhand smoke should do, his reported response was shocking. He said they could crawl out of the room. I mean, that attitude, that profound indifference, helped create a culture where the victim, not the source, was somehow expected to solve the problem. But that culture of indifference is finally being challenged. A really powerful shift in public opinion is creating this idea of a right to clean air, and it's paving the way for some new, really creative legal strategies. At its heart, this is a clash of perceived rights, right? Does a person's right to smoke in their apartment just automatically supersede their neighbor's right to breathe clean, safe air in theirs? I mean, where do we draw that line? Now, you might expect public opinion to be really divided on this, but it's not at all. That same Israeli study found that over 85% of people, and get this, that includes 3/4 of smokers themselves, actually support smoke-free legislation for places like apartment buildings. The consensus for change is already there. And this public support is fueling a really clever new legal path.
Instead of trying to pass brand new smoking bans, advocates are using laws that already exist. They're arguing that secondhand smoke is just another form of air pollution, and that existing nuisance laws give environmental agencies the power to step in and regulate it, even inside private homes.
Okay, so where does all of this lead? Well, it leads to a fundamental redrawing of the line between our personal space and public health, and a whole new vision for the future of the air inside our homes. The whole conversation is shifting away from being about neighborly disputes over an annoying smell. It's now being framed as a matter of fundamental rights. Legal experts and advocates are arguing that clean air in your own home, your sanctuary, isn't a luxury. It's a basic right that deserves to be protected under the law. All of this brings us to one final, really crucial question. When the air we breathe doesn't respect property lines, where should one person's personal freedom end and their neighbor's right to be healthy begin?